Hey, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this beautiful scrubby. This scrubby is meant for the kitchen and is an excellent cleaning tool despite its really pretty flower appearance. This is an easy project. I've got a link in the description of the basic stitches that you'll need to know before starting. You can also find this information as well as the written pattern and charts on my blog, which I'll put a link to in the description below also. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below and I'll try to answer them as best I can. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get started. You'll only need a few supplies to get started with this project. For the yarn, I'm using Lion Brand Yarn Stitch Soak Scrub. You'll need 2 colors. I'm using Poppy Red for the flower portion, and then you'll need this green color for the leaf and the bud. You'll also need an H hook, some scissors, and a yarn needle. This pattern is really straightforward. It's only 2 rows, and then we'll make the leaves separate. So to get started with the flower, what we're going to be doing is working a very long chain, and then for row 1, it's just going to be single crochet across, and then for row 2, what we're going to be doing is working different size petals, and then at the end of that, the way that it's worked is that it's going to want to wind in on itself, so we will begin working at the center clockwise, wrapping it around itself to create the flower shape. So we want to be sure to leave a nice long tail so that we can sew it in place once we're done. So I would say leave about a foot, 10 to 12 inches worth of tail before you get started with the chain. And then we're going to begin by chaining 77. All right, now for row 1, we're going to begin by skipping 1 and then working single crochets all the way across. So you can see my first stitch there, right near my hook. And then we're just going to go into the next and single crochet all the way to the end of this chain. All right, so we're just coming up on the end of row 1 here. Got 1 single crochet into each stitch across, which gives us a length of 76 single crochet. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Into the first stitch, I'm going to single crochet. Into the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 half double crochet. And into the next stitch, I'm going to slip stitch. All right, let's get that tail out of the way so it's a little easier to see here. Now we're going to work our first petal. This is a small petal, so into the next stitch, we're going to put a cluster of stitches. We're going to begin by putting 2 half double crochet. And then we're going to work a double crochet in that same stitch. And then we're going to work 2 more half double crochet into that stitch. To finish the small petal, we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch and then slip stitch into the next stitch. So basically what we've done is we've worked a little mini petal, then we've worked our small petal, and now we're going to move on to the medium size petal. So to do that, into the next stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet. And in that same stitch, we're going to work a double crochet. Into the next stitch, we're going to put a bigger cluster of stitches. So we're going to begin that with 2 double crochet. We're then going to work a treble crochet. Treble is where you wrap the yarn twice around your hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Next, we're going to work a double treble into that same stitch space. So that's going to be 3 yarn overs, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. All right, so now we're going to do another treble crochet into that same stitch space. And then again, working back into that same stitch space, we're going to put 2 more double crochet. There's our first double crochet and our second double crochet. Next, we're going to move on to the following stitch where we're going to put 1 double crochet and then 1 half double crochet. Into the next stitch, we're going to slip stitch and then slip stitch again into the following stitch. And that makes 1 medium-sized petal. So you can see here that that is definitely too many stitches for that stitch space, but there is a method to the madness here. When we work too many stitches in a stitch space like that, the yarn wants to wrap in on itself. So we're going to work 6 more of these medium petals so that there are a total of 7 of them. And you'll see what happens when we're done is that the yarn is already going to be naturally wanting to roll itself in to that pretty flower shape. So make 6 more medium petals and meet me back here, and then we'll go over how to do the large petals. All right, so I just wrapped up working the 7th medium-sized petal. Let's work the last of our petals. We're going to be working 5 large petals. So I will show you guys how to do the first one. In the next stitch space, we're going to be working 3 double crochet, there's our 3rd double crochet. Now in the next stitch space, we're going to also be working 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and our 3rd. And then in the next stitch space, we are going to be working 2 treble crochet, and then we're going to be working 1 double treble, and then 2 treble in the same stitch space still. Now in the next stitch, we're going to work 3 double crochet, there's 2 and 3. And in the next stitch space, we're also going to work 3 double crochet. There's our 3rd. In the next stitch, we're going to slip stitch. And in the next stitch, we're going to slip stitch. So you want a total of 5 large petals. You'll be wanting to work 4 more across the remainder of these single crochets. So I'll meet you back here when you're done with that, and we can look at how to shape the flower. All right, so I just finished working the last large petal. I'm going to fasten off. Just grab my scissors here and cut the yarn. I'm just going to pull that tail end through so it doesn't come unraveled. So you can see here it really wants to just wind up. So what we're going to do is, starting from the smallest petals, we are going to have our needle handy, but I'm just going to grab the littlest petal here and then slowly wind it in on itself to create the flower shape. So this may take a bit of practice. You might need to wind and unwind it a couple times before you get a shape that you like, a flower that you like. And you can see here I'm just keeping that first tail end just in the middle here. That's going to make it easy for me to sew it in place once it looks the way that I want it to. I don't want the petals to be right on top of each other like that. It looks best if they're staggered. So where one petal is coming up between two others. Just show you briefly what's going on the underside here as I wrap it around. Doing my best to keep it kind of flat, right? It would be kind of easy to make it really deep, but you want the petals to be really kind of squished together in the middle there, and that's going to give you the fullest shape. All right, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go with that. Just pinching that in place. You could use a big stitch marker if you're a knitter and you have one of those very large ones for cables. You could use one of those to sort of pin it together, but it's easy enough for me to just keep it pinched in place. Get that tail end threaded up there. So now this is the fiddly part. Just want to make sure it's really how you want it. Here's what my back side looks like right now. So I'm just going to take this tail end and I'm going to begin by going right through the center, trying to catch as many layers of this as possible, and then just coming out the back, pulling it tight. Obviously you don't want to break the yarn, so don't pull it too tight, but pulling it as tight as you can. And then going in, you don't want to have a big stitch, right? So you want to go in right next to where you just were and do the same thing where you go through all the layers, come out in the center. I'm realizing now I should have picked a different needle color so you guys could see it a little bit better. But this was the best size, so I didn't think about how it would be red on red. Hopefully you can see it okay still. Okay, and then just going back in through the center. I feel that this side is not stitched down, so I'm going to come up through there. Going back in right near where it just was. And then you just work like this until everything is sewn in place. So I can see here most of that is together. It looks like some of these last petals need to be secured. So I'm going to hold them how I want them to look, kind of like that. And then I'm going to go right through the center again, come up on the back, and make sure to catch the loose petals that are not secured yet. Okay. And you can sort of stretch some of these out, get them looking how you want them to be, get them fanned out in a way that looks good for you. And then of course you could leave it like this. You don't need to add the leaves, that's optional. But I think it just adds a little something extra special to do that. So I am just going to get these tail ends woven in, and then I will show you guys how to make the leaves. All right, the flower is now complete. It looks beautiful. Now we're just going to go ahead and make those leaves for it. So there's 2 leaves we're going to be making. I just want to show you guys really quickly. Here's the flower we just made together. Here's my first one, and you can see here how this has got a bit of a circle to it. So we're actually going to be making the circle shape and then the leaf, and then we're going to be making one that's just the leaf. Okay, and the reason that we're doing that is because it looks more like a rosebud when you make that extra little space. So this is a really fun, sort of kooky way to do this. We're going to begin by making a magic circle. And then we're going to do 8 single crochet into the ring. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Just going to take my hook out so that I can get that tail end out of there and adjust the ring a bit now. So now I'm going to go back into the first stitch and I'm going to slip stitch to join. I'm then going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do 2 single crochet into each around. That's going to give me a total of 16 stitches. Alright, that was the last increase. Now I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch, slip stitch to join, and then just really quickly I'm going to flip this over and tighten it even more so that there's no hole at the center there. Next we're going to chain 11. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. We're going to skip 1 chain, so the second chain from the hook we are going to slip stitch. We're going to slip stitch into the next stitch and slip stitch into the next stitch. We're then going to work a single crochet into the next stitch and a single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, then we're going to work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. Into the next we're going to put 2 half double crochet, Into the next stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochet. So 1, and then here's our second double crochet into that stitch space. And into the last of these chains before we get back to working in the round, we're going to put 3 double crochet. So there's 1, 2, and our third. So this is a little tricky in terms of written directions, but here on the video it's very easy to see. We're going to go right back into this stitch here and single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet into each around. Just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, so here we are, we're coming back to the opposite side of this leaf here, so you can see what that looks like. Now we are just going to work 3 double crochet into the first chain of the leaf. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Into the next stitch, we're going to work 2 double crochet. There's 1 and 2. Into the next, we're going to work 2 half double crochet. There's 1 and 2. Into the next, we're going to work 1 half double crochet. Then we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and 3. We're then going to slip stitch into these final 3 stitches here. There's 2, and our last. Perfect. So now we are just going to cut a tail so we can weave that in. To make the standalone leaf, it's a little bit easier than doing the one with the circular bud attached to it. We're going to begin just by chaining 11. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then we're going to do the same thing we did for the one with the bud. In the second from the hook, we are going to slip stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch in the next, and slip stitch in the next. We're then going to put 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, 2 half double crochet in the next stitch. There's 1 and 2. We're going to put 2 double crochet into the next stitch, and then into this last stitch we're going to put 8 double crochet. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we're going to be working along the opposite side of the leaf. I'm just going to pull that tail end out of there, get that out of the way by placing it behind my work. Okay, so now working into the opposite side, in the next stitch we're going to work 2 double crochet. I'm going to do 2 half double crochet in the next. And I'm going to do 1 half double crochet in the next. And we want to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. That's 2 and 3. And then we are going to slip stitch until we get to the tip of this, and that should be 3 slip stitches. Perfect. So now I'm just going to cut this and fasten off. All right, so now we've got our 2 leaves and our flower. Now it's time to assemble everything. So I think this works best if you attach this one first to the bottom like so, and then you attach this one on it. Doing the smaller one over top of the larger causes it to make more of a bud shape. So let's do that. To begin, make sure the leaf is centered and then start sewing. As you're sewing, make sure to keep your stitches hidden under where the leaf will cover, and that just means going through the leaf portion first and then entering in through the flower from underneath where the circle portion of the leaf is going to be. And you can see that here. I'm just digging a little bit under where the leaf is going to cover, coming back through, and then catching the outside of the stitch on the leaf, and then continuing that all the way around. Okay, once you're done working around the center of it, you can just start kind of pushing through the middle there. Don't want to pull it too tight or warp it or anything like that, but you can weave this end in once you've got it attached. I like to do that by crossing it a couple times. And then with this leaf, what we're going to do is just go right over top this one, like so. And that's going to really round it out and make it look beautiful. Okay, so I'll show you how we do that. Making sure I like the placement of it. I think I'm going to do something like that. So now what we're going to do is sew this onto the green that is already attached, just bringing it through the outside leg of the stitch. So just sewing the two together essentially.
Continue sewing that second leaf onto the first until it is completely attached, and then you would just fasten off and weave in your ends and you are all done. I hope you guys have enjoyed this project. It's such a beautiful, fun thing to make. It would make an excellent gift or something that you could make for yourself regularly since they don't take too much time. I would love to see your version of this project, so please don't forget to tag me on social media once you're done with yours. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.